gorgeous day from the Valley of the Sun. It's our first spring training broadcast of the year. As the Texas Rangers host the Milwaukee Brewers, we welcome you inside Surprise Stadium. We're ready to get things started for 2015. Hello again, everybody. I'm Dave Raymond alongside Tom Grieve, and there are changes aplenty. Both these teams looking to put last year in the rearview mirror. And really, in this Texas camp, a renewed energy, and I guess it all starts with a new manager.
There is a new manager. The Rangers obviously have to overcome a bad season last year. And really, from the time that Jeff Bannister was introduced as the new manager of the Rangers, in the offseason, he was everywhere. He was at luncheons. He was signing autographs. He was at banquets. He displayed an excellent personality, kind of a drill sergeant look, a great presence about him. And that's carried over into the spring. I think the players have worked exceptionally hard. He talked about them, an upcoming off day and how much they need that as hard as they've worked. But immediately when he got here, you have an injury to Yu Darvish. They have to overcome that. He told the players to grieve for a while and then get over it. Go out and show the kind of team that you've got. It's only one player. You can overcome that, and the expectations are very high. The team has looked very good so far in spring training.
Of course, on the other side, there are some healthy bodies back. Prince Fielder, Shin-Soo Choo, etc. And we're looking forward to seeing them this afternoon. Stay with us. We'll have the starting lineups of the first pitch. The Brewers and the Rangers coming up. Well, there's Prince Fielder signing autographs and taking care of the fans here. And for him, kind of a fun day. Get to see a bunch of old friends. Brewers, Rangers, Surprise Stadium this afternoon with Tom Grieve. I'm Dave Raymond. Thank you so much for joining us. Always fun this time of year to get things started and see what these teams look like. And speaking of which, we can get right to the starting lineups today. And the Milwaukee Brewers, it hasn't been real smooth sailing for them, almost picking up in spring training where they left off in the regular season. As Rick Sweet, their AAA manager, handling duties today. And they lead off with Scooter Gennett, Gene Segura, Gomez, Lind. Those guys, they're all regulars. Then the rest of the lineup, guys fighting for spots, Maldonado, Schaefer, Jimenez, Peterson, and Elian Herrera, the veteran, for the Milwaukee Brewers this afternoon. Milwaukee with a very frustrating conclusion to the 2014 season. They got off to that incredible start, though, Tom. They won like 20 games in April, bolted to a lead, led their division for 150 days during the regular season, and then just collapsed.
Yeah, that's a very disappointing way for the season to go. They looked like a contender all season long, and to finish the season that way, I know, is very disappointing. And as they looked at their team over the winter, they had to feel really good about their prospects this year and maybe being able to finish what they started last year.
And today, their only split squad game of the spring. But they did send a number of regulars here, the regulars that they already know are going to be in the lineup. So they'll look at some of the other kids back in Maryvale.
Now, the Rangers have an interesting starting pitcher today. Ross Ohlendorf will start this ball game for the Rangers. The Rangers signed him as a minor league free agent. I think the first thing that even a casual fan will notice is he has a windup that maybe goes back into the old days, 40, 50, 60 years ago. You don't see many people taking that kind of a full windup nowadays. So that's an interesting thing for the opposing hitter to look at. 2013 with Washington, he had a nice season. He was 4-1 with a 3.28 ERA. Started 7 games, pitched in relief 9 more times. He was hurt most of the season last year. He only pitched 15 minor league innings. But he's been impressive in camp so far. He hasn't pitched a lot, but in one of his outings, he pitched 2 innings, faced 6 hitters, struck out 5 of them, showed a fastball in the mid-90s. The Rangers have been impressed with what they've seen, and if he's starting a game in the middle of spring training, he is in the mix for a spot in maybe in the rotation, maybe in the bullpen. We'll see.
Let's take a look at the defense behind him today, and maybe the chief man to keep an eye on, Smolinski and left field in the middle of a 10-man battle for that position right now. Leonis Martin, Shin-Soo Choo in their regular spots in the outfield. Beltre, Andrews, Odor, and Moreland getting the start at first base today. Carlos Corcoran will do the catching. There's Beltre. Just getting loose this time of year. Guys maybe get 5-6 innings about this time of spring, at least the regulars, the everyday players. And Ohlendorf winds it up, and literally does wind it up. His first pitch misses ball 1. I love it.
The first time I've seen him, I love it too. Paul Bird used to have a similar windup, maybe not quite as dramatic as Ross's windup, but anytime you see it, it's fun to watch.
He gets a swing and a miss. I guess he's talked about it helping him get his rhythm, just get that timing and that flow, and that's great, right? Whatever mechanism you need to do that, great.
There's a lot of different ways of hitting, a lot of different ways of throwing, and what works for you is what you should do, and if that works for him, so much the better.
Fly ball left center and a long run. That one is gone. Leonis, pardon me, we get that one bounced over the fence.
Yeah, when it bounces near one of those light signs out there, you can't tell whether it goes over the fence or whether it bounced. Before the game, it looked like the wind was blowing in a little bit, but Jeanette has surprising power for a little guy and a leadoff guy. There you
go. Oh, yeah.
Hit on the dirt and bounced right to the fan out there in left center field. But he had 9 home runs last year, so he's got a little bit of pop in his bat. And, of course, in Arizona, generally speaking, the ball carries pretty well.
So they get that lead man in scoring position right off the bat, and now Gene Segura. Well, Jeanette takes his lead. He's a guy that has been in a platoon at second base. Chase him back. But he gets in there. But he's been in a platoon with Ricky Weeks, and the Brewers have finally closed the book on the old Ricky Weeks experiment. That is done, and they really want Jeanette to take over and own that position full time.
Yeah, he looks like the kind of kid that deserves that opportunity. He hit almost 290 last year to go along with those 9 home runs. So he's earned the right to go out there on an everyday basis.
The key will be if he is able to handle left-handed pitching a little better this year. Ohlendorf induces another fly ball. This one will definitely stay in the park. The wind knocking that one down just a touch for Choo. There's one away.
Yeah, it looks like looking at the first two hitters, if you hit the ball to left field, it's probably going to carry pretty well. The wind's blowing out that way. But you're right, Dave. That ball hit to right field. The wind held it up, and Chu came in and made an easy play. Yeah, I think anytime you see a ball player named Scooter, you don't look for someone 6'4" and 230 pounds. He's probably going to be a shortstop or a second baseman. And baseball's a sport where it doesn't matter if you're 5'8" and 140 pounds or 6'4" and 250 pounds. If you can play, you can play. And he's hit 9 home runs last year and launched one 400 feet to start this game. So this one's a pretty good bat.
Carlos Gomez steps in now for Milwaukee, and boy, has this guy become a big story as he fouls off strike one. I mean, he tremendous athlete. It just wasn't panning out for him in Minnesota, and ended up with the Brewers, and the Brewers have, you know, really just Reneke just kind of let him loose.
That's exactly what happened, and he needed probably a change of scenery. You could see the tools when he was in Minnesota. He could fly, but you could also see a guy that was a little bit raw, that hadn't put the tools together, and Milwaukee got him right at the right time, right when he's able to do it. He's a little bit bigger now, but he still runs well. There haven't been many players in baseball more consistent in the last 2 years than Carlos Gomez. He's hit 284 in each of the last 2 years. He's knocked in 73 runs in each of the last 2 years. He hit 24 home runs one year and 23 the next. So I'm predicting he hits 284 this year with 24 home runs and 73 RBIs.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something with that.
But he's much bigger now than he was, but still he's averaged 36 or 37 stolen bases the last couple of years, so he can run.
Yeah, that's just it. He can move. He really covers a lot of ground in center field, and he's got a ridiculous vertical leap. We've seen him go up and take away some would-be home runs. I mean, a tremendous athlete at 6'3", 220.
Well, we were talking about that down on the field, packed fields before the game, how big the guys are nowadays. From up here, you don't quite get the feeling until they walk by you and you realize how big they are.
Well, Ohlendorf gets him to swing and miss at strike 3, and Corcoran finishes the strikeout 2 away. That is one thing in the course of his career. Gomez has had a tendency sometimes maybe chase a pitch or two, but that's okay.
It's a good breaking ball, blocked well by Corcoran. Well out of the strike zone. Gomez couldn't lay off it. Corcoran kept it in front of him, made the play at first base, and now they're going to check on him. Kevin Harmon, the Ranger trainer, is out there along with Jeff Bannister. Looks like he's okay.
Of course, Bannister using the opportunity to have a word with Stu Sherwater, the plate umpire, and found out earlier today, you know, he's been using those opportunities to pick apart a little information, gain some intelligence going into the season.
Let's take another look at it. Ah, there it is. The bat came around. I wondered about blocking the ball. It didn't look like it was the kind of a block that would have caused an injury, but a big backswing by Gomez, and thank goodness he's got that kind of a helmet on.
Well, now here's the one big addition Milwaukee made this offseason. Adam Lind from Toronto in a deal for a handful of prospects, and they need him in a big way to pick up some of the slack that, you know, really the power production they lost when Prince Fielder came to the Rangers.
Yeah, and I don't know if he can do what Prince did while he was with Milwaukee, but this guy can hit, and he's always hit against the Rangers. Last year he was on the disabled list a couple of times, but he's healthy all year. He can put up some numbers because he can put a charge in. He's a good hitter.
Hit a home run yesterday. 1-1 the count. Of course, he's missed a little time already this spring with the back spasms, which have been a problem for him in his career. This is just his 3rd game and the first time he's gone back-to-back days. And just holds off at a pretty good looking pitch. 2-1.
I mentioned that Ohlendorf struck out 5 out of 6 hitters in one 2-inning appearance last week, and that he was throwing the ball very well. That last fastball was 95 miles an hour, so he's got good velocity. Saw an excellent breaking ball that struck out Gomez. And he's a veteran guy. He's not a young prospect. He's 32 years old, but throughout the course of the years, you'll see good teams get lucky with a guy 28 to 32 years old, comes out of nowhere and has a big season for you. Who knows? Maybe Ohlendorf can be that kind of guy for the Rangers. A lot of positions open with Darvish out. A couple of spots in the rotation are open. You would think if young pitchers fill those last two roles, there'll have to be people in the bullpen who can pitch multiple innings, and so Ohlendorf could compete for a starter's job or possibly a relief role in the bullpen.
Like Maddox watching his pitcher work. This ball hit deep to right field, but Chu can't handle it, and that will chase home the first run of the game. Scooter Gennett scores easily, and Lind into second base.
We mentioned the ball's not going to carry as well to right field as it will to left field, and that was pretty obvious on that ball. It looked like Shin-Soo was fighting that ball all the way, but he got back to it, actually got in front of it, got the glove on it. Ball just didn't go in his glove and stay there. You see a lot of outfielders struggle with balls in Arizona for whatever reason. The high sky, no clouds in the sky, depth perception's a little bit more difficult. Bright sunshine can affect you. The wind can affect you. A lot of the elements can come into play. That one looked like he got under it. He just didn't catch it.
So a two-base error, and Lind stands in scoring position now. Martin Maldonado, backup catcher for Milwaukee, at the plate. Maldonado backing up Jonathan Lucroy, and really, when you talk about a 1-2 tandem behind the plate, the Brewers might have the best 1-2 punch in baseball with Lucroy, who's so good offensively, and Maldonado, an excellent defensive catcher. But he's in a hole 0-2.
Another good slider by Ross Ohlendorf. It's the same pitch that he struck out Gomez with, only the one to Gomez was down and out of the strike zone.
Ohlendorf trying to get out of this first inning. Now the run, of course, unearned because of the error. And Rangers pitching, it's been a little while now since they've given up an earned run. They shut out the Giants 2 days ago. Yesterday lost 2-0 in Peoria to the Padres. And there's a strikeout of Maldonado. And Corporon puts the finishing touches on it to complete the inning. But Milwaukee does get that one unearned run. They have the early lead, and the Rangers just now coming to bat. Well, a breezy day down here in the Valley of the Sun. Brewers able to scratch out an unearned run at the top of the first. Rangers just now coming to bat. Texas 6-5-1 so far. Jeff Bannister filled out his lineup today like this: Leonys Martin, Elvis Andrus, Shin-Soo Choo, and Adrian Beltre at the top of the order. Fielder as the DH today is going to get up there and whack it around a little bit. Moreland, Smolinski, Corcoran, and Odor rounding out the lineup. Leonys Martin finished the year in the leadoff spot and did such a good job in September in that position. There's certainly a feeling coming into camp that that's where he needs to be when the season starts. And Bannister's more or less hinted right to that. He wants Martin to just take that spot.
Well, Martin certainly has the physical ability to do that. Before we talk about him, let's talk about Taylor Youngman, the starting pitcher for Milwaukee today. Former #1 draft choice, 12th pick in the draft in 2011. University of Texas kid, pitched high school ball in Georgetown, Texas. So he comes into professional baseball as a highly touted, highly decorated college pitcher. He's had 450 minor league innings, so he's had an apprenticeship at AA and AAA. He's ready to make a big league team if he performs well enough.
Well, they have an opening for the back end of their rotation, and they want to try and figure out who's going to be the #5, and for that matter, they need depth beyond that, as everybody does. 6, 7 starters deep. Youngman, I think, projects as maybe starting the year at AAA and then being that first guy they call up when a spot is needed.
Yep. You know, they like to get a look at him in spring training so that if they do need a pitcher, they have a pretty good idea of who they're looking at. When he's called up, they know what to expect. And Martin takes a walk, and that's a good thing. Love your leadoff man to be a patient hitter and get on base. On base percentage, kind of the name of the game for the leadoff hitter.
A nice start to the inning for the Rangers. And now Andrus.
You look at Martin as the leadoff hitter. You look at the rest of the Ranger lineup. There's not a lot of guys who project as leadoff hitters. Elvis has led off before, but he needs to make a leap forward offensively to be considered a leadoff hitter, because his on-base percentage hasn't been exactly what you would like to see. He's lost some weight. He's moving well. Hopefully his base running and his stolen bases, the percentage will be an improvement from last year. And what Martin, I think, has to do as much as anything is show that he can perform against left-handed pitching. If he does that, then he should be well on his way to being an excellent leadoff hitter. Gives you a little bit of pop in his bat. A guy that line drive hitter should be, if he gets 600 at bats, 550 at bats, kind of guy can hit 30, 35 doubles, maybe 10 or 11 home runs, steal 30 or 40 bases. He's got the tools to be a good leadoff hitter.
Well, strike to Elvis. Evens the count at 1-1. Do you like Elvis in this spot?
Yeah, if Elvis can take a little bit of a step forward, and you know, there's been a lot of talk in spring training, a lot's been written about trying to revamp his swing a little bit so that he can drive the ball into the gaps a little bit better to right center field. And if he can make some progress there and get his average up to 280, 285, walk a little bit, he can handle the bat well. He's the kind of guy that bunts well and can hit the ball to the right side. You like your second place hitter to do those things. But I think as much as anything, at the top of the order, you're looking for someone that can have a good on-base percentage, and that's something that Elvis needs to improve. He knows that, and he's making every effort to do that.
Martin with a modest lead. That ball smashed into left field. Base hit for Andrus.
That's kind of what we're talking about right there. Instead of flaring that ball to right field, being able to turn on it and pull it with authority to left field. He had a double the other day like that, which was nice to see. And he hits this ball pretty well too. A fastball with a little bit of movement on the inside part of the plate. They've talked about Elvis having his bat a little bit higher and back a little bit farther, and not trying to push the bat through the strike zone to hit soft line drives to right field, but to drive the ball with a little bit of authority. That was a nice little hit right there, and a good sign that maybe he's making some progress in that direction.
So the inning building nicely for the Rangers now, and here's Chu. And he'll take a breaking ball off the plate. Well, it'll be another, again, you start talking about offseason transactions that teams may or may not have done, and for the Rangers, just getting Chu back healthy, Fielder back healthy. I mean, those are enormous additions, if you will, over last year. So you may not see a whole lot of player transactions, but if these guys can come back and play a regular season, I mean, it has that same feel and effect.
Yeah, last year at this time, Chu and Fielder were expected to do big things for the Rangers. The Rangers were hoping to be a contender, but we never found out. So here we are this year, and they're kind of in the same place that we were last year. Both guys highly touted free agent, a free agent acquisition and a trade acquisition. But the difference is they're both healthy right now. And if the lineup works, if it works with Martin and Andrus at the top of the lineup, you've got two guys that can run, two guys that can steal 30 to 40 bases. And if they can get on base at a good clip, that certainly sets the table for the guys hitting in the middle of the lineup.
Well, now they're loaded for Beltre. Yeah, I mean, you start talking about getting two speedsters on in front of Chu, Beltre, and Fielder. There are a lot of teams in Major League Baseball who would love to have that kind of a setup.
Sure. And Chu has a terrific eye at the plate, and I really felt watching him last year that the umpires showed him no respect. He took a lot of pitches that looked like they were a little bit high, a little bit off the plate, and so many of those pitches were called strikes on him. But it didn't change his style of hitting. He can't swing at those pitches. They're not, in his mind, strikes. That last pitch was a good example of that. That pitch just a little bit outside. He took it, and he got the call, and he got the walk.
Well, Beltre takes a ball from Tyler Youngman, who's now in a little bit of trouble here. A couple of walks, a sharp base hit by Andrus. Rangers have him everywhere right now for Beltre. 2-0. Well, Beltre still as feared a hitter as he's been in his career. Averaged .324 again last year. Very productive. And Youngman creating a real mess for himself here in this first inning.
Well, he's missing with his fastball. He's around the plate with it, but he's not locating it in the strike zone. And then with a 2-0 pitch, tried to throw a breaking ball, something different to try to throw a strike. Instead, he missed with that. Now he's behind 3-0.
Big right-hander, finished strong last year, and misses inside ball 4. So 3 walks in the inning, and the Brewers get on the board, tie this game up at 1, and they're still loaded now for Fielder.
Yeah, for the most part, he's not missing by much. That last pitch looked like it was fairly close to the strike zone, but not quite enough to be called.
Well, a visit for Youngman just to maybe give him a moment here to settle himself down, or possibility that Dabney saw some mechanical issue that he can help him with, I suppose. Well, it's tough though in spring training when you're that guy on the bubble. Potential shot at a rotation, or at the very least maybe being that first guy up, and you kind of lay an egg right out of the gate today. That's tough.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on a young pitcher. It's not always easy to pitch in these ballparks. The wind's blowing straight out to left field. He's trying to throw strikes. He's facing a big league lineup. This is not a AAA lineup in spring training. He's basically facing the Rangers' regular lineup, knowing he has to go out and perform. A lot of pressure for a young pitcher. Now he faced 4 hitters, thrown somewhere probably around 15 or 20 pitches, and hasn't been able to get an out yet.
And no big deal, but you face Prince Fielder now with nowhere to put him.
Yeah, you missed with a breaking ball, so you're pretty much locked into throwing a fastball now. So if you're Prince, you're thinking to yourself, well, he's having a hard time throwing a strike, so I'm going to make him throw a strike, but got a pretty good idea he's going to throw me a fastball right here. No, didn't.
Right off the outside corner again, 2-0. Now, if you're fielder, though, it is spring training. I know you want to treat every at bat as if it were a regular season situation, right? And train yourself appropriately. But the guy hasn't really thrown a strike here, but maybe about 4 times in this first inning. Still, you'd be tempted just to tee off, wouldn't you?
I would think more so in spring training than maybe the regular season. He's taken all the way. I think in the regular season, you're looking to make him throw as many pitches as you can. You got the bases loaded. If you walk, you pick up a run, pick up an RBI. But at the same time, you're a veteran hitter. You're pretty confident in your ability. Taking a strike is not going to cause you great harm. You're still ahead 2 balls and 1 strike.
Takes another good fastball for a strike, and it's 2-2. Andrews at third, Chu at second, Beltre at first. A run already across in this first inning. And now fielder will have to protect a little bit. And try to backdoor him. Full count. Youngman, one of the big adjustments he's made the last 2 years has been with his curveball, which he tried right there, just couldn't get it to break back in. Here's the payoff. And the 4th walk of the inning. The Rangers now on top 2-1.
One thing you notice with Youngman, I think when you hear pitching coaches and people that study pitching mechanics talk, they'll talk about a direct line with your front foot toward home plate. He tends to step pretty significantly toward third base, which causes him to throw, I guess, a little bit across his body. It works for a lot of pitchers. There's a lot of pitchers that throw like that. And you see his left foot step more toward third base than toward the catcher.
And now he misses with ball 1 to Mitch Moreland. He's thrown 24 pitches, Tom, and 5 have been strikes.
Wow.
That's a rough go.
He's praying for a ground ball at somebody to try to stop the bleeding right here.
There's a smash up the middle, base hit. Chu will score. Beltre on his heels. 2 runs in on Moreland's base hit. And it is 4-1 Texas.
It's just a tough situation for a young pitcher to be in. You're struggling to throw strikes. You know, you almost really kind of don't even have a game plan now as far as knowing how to attack the hitters, whether they're a fastball hitter, a breaking ball hitter, whether they like the ball high or low. You're just trying to throw a strike right now and figure out a way to get out of the inning. And so you're trying to throw a strike with your fastball, and you've got a big league hitter up there like Mitch Moreland, just says bring it on, and you got a fastball to hit and just ripped it back through the middle.
Jake Smolinski very much of the mix for that left field spot. Let's see. 4 hits so far, 15 at bats, translating to the .267 average, a home run. That ball hit well left center field, and it gets down in front of the wall. Fielder all the way in from second, around third. Moreland, he'll score. The throw past Maldonado, but Smolinski will stop at third. 6-1 Rangers.
Well, that was a good test for Mitch right there. Mitch, of course, is on first base, and he's coming off a season-ending injury. He had surgery on his foot, and so he had to go all the way from first to home and ended up sliding across home plate, which, if he stays in the game and he's healthy, that's a good sign that everything is okay for Mitch. You see him coming toward third base, coming all the way home and scoring on that play. Oh, that's good to see. Well, give Mitch a little bit of oxygen to be able to go back out there.
What a start to the inning, though, or to the game for the Rangers. Still nobody out, and once again, ball 1, this time to Carlos Corcoran. See Smolinski catching his breath at third base. This one lofted left center field, playable for Schaefer. But it'll get Smolinski home. And it's a 7-0 Rangers lead as they kick the extra point.
Get the job done. You got a man on third base and less than 2 outs, trying to hit the ball in the air. Yeah, that's going to be all for Youngman. Tough outing for the youngster. He's a lot better than that. Just one of those days where didn't have the command that he wanted.
So a tough go and a short day for Youngman. New pitcher coming on for the Brewers. We'll tell you all about him when we come back. Fans right now. Team up by 6 in the first inning. Little shade, little breeze today, and those folks trying to gather up some of the sunshine today. Always pretty easy accomplishment down here in the Sonoran Desert. There's Michael Blazek.
Spring training numbers for Michael. 7.20 ERA. ERAs can be a little deceptive at this stage of spring training. You have one bad inning, your ERA is going to be pretty high no matter what else you've done.
Well, Ohlendorf could probably speak to that. A man who, or rather, Youngman, pardon me, who was just run for the game. Taylor Youngman went just a third of an inning. Now Blazek fires in strike one to Rudnik Odor. We'll see, he's had a very good spring training so far. That ball hit weakly right at the second baseman, Jeanette. 2 away. A Youngman now somewhere talking to himself. Well, it's not that easy, is it?
Guy throws a pitch and gets an out like that. It looks that easy. Mendez at first base was running off the field. They've been out there so long. He's coming off the field. He thinks that's 3 outs. Whoops.
Oh. Felt like at least that much for him, no doubt, as now Leonys Martinez, second at bat of the inning, walked to start the bottom of the first, came around to score. And pops this one up. Nothing terribly routine when it's in the air. Schaefer is there to make the play. And it does in the inning. And boy, I'll tell you what, Blazek has it figured out. But not before the Rangers get 7 runs off Taylor Youngman. We go to the second. Oh, what a start. 7-1 after one. We'll go to the second inning at Surprise Stadium. You got a lot to fill in with that scorebook. I think that's scorebook or coloring book. I'm not sure what she's got going out there. The opening week is coming up at Globe Life Park. The Rangers take on the Astros in a 3-game set, April 10th through the 12th. Opening week concludes with a 3-game series against division rival Los Angeles Angels. Get your opening week tickets at TexasRangers.com. Well, Ohlendorf got through that first inning, giving up a run, and starts Schaefer off with strike one. He must feel like that mound's another 6 inches taller now with 7 runs behind him. This one lofted out there to Smolinski. Shades his eyes and takes care of it, 1 away.
We were talking about Ross Ohlendorf and being one of a number of pitchers, probably more opportunity this year in the pitching staff than in recent years, and probably more opportunities here than most other teams. 2 starting jobs open, and at least a couple of opportunities out of the bullpen. And we're talking about the makeup of the rotation. If the last 2 spots in the rotation are younger pitchers, you're going to have at least a couple of relievers who can go multiple innings. Sean Tollison can do that. But one of the things, if you're Ross Ohlendorf, that you're thinking about trying to make the team as a starter, but also have the ability, if you don't make it as a starter, to be considered as maybe a relief pitcher, the 6th or 7th reliever who can give multiple innings. Last year, Scott Baker was so valuable in that role.
2-0 to Luis Jimenez, and that one lifted high in the air, foul for strike 1.
So Ross signed with the Rangers as a minor league free agent, and I think now he's probably saying he's glad that he did. He's not only getting an opportunity to pitch in big league games in spring training, but there's opportunities to make the ball club too.
This 2-1. Fouled off again. Well, he's wanted to play for the Rangers for some time. We bumped into Mike Anderson, longtime scout for the Rangers, last night, and he said, you know, as a courtesy, he has watched Ohlendorf over the years, maybe gone out to a private session to see him throw, and frankly told us and told Ross before, before I just wasn't that interested, but when he did it this offseason, he was wowed by Ohlendorf as a breaking ball. Ends up strike 3 as Jimenez can't find it.
Yeah, Jeff Bannister was talking about him in his press briefing early this morning, and he talked about everybody was excited about his 95-mile-an-hour fastball, the velocity that he was showing on his 4-seam fastball. He said, yeah, he's also the kind of guy that can throw a 2-seam fastball that sinks, that gets a little bit of movement on it, that is very effective for him. So he's a veteran guy that's been around. He's had success in the big leagues. We mentioned earlier that with Washington a couple of years ago, he was 4-1 with a 3.28 and 50 or 60 innings. Injuries have held him back the last couple of years, but he's healthy, he's throwing well, and we'll see what happens the last 3 weeks of spring training.
He's 1-1 on left-handed hitting. Shane Peterson, a guy in the mix for one of the extra outfield spots for Milwaukee. He fights it off for strike 2. Well, in his past big league experience, Ohlendorf, one thing he also has going for him is some exposure to his manager, Jeff Bannister, when they were both with the Pirates. In fact, Ohlendorf's best year occurred with the Pirates. And Banny was there with him then, so he knows him, and he's seen the adjustments that he has made, knows the character. And that one will put Peterson on base. Whoops.
Right from the start, when people have been talking to Jeff Bannister since he was hired as the big league manager, they asked about his philosophy and his feelings about how to play the game and what he expects from his players. And one thing he said a lot, that he wants and expects his pitchers to attack the inside part of the plate. Now, obviously, that one was way too far inside. In that situation, he's not trying to hit a guy. But I think you might see more guys hit by pitch this year, because I think he's going to demand that his pitchers pound the strike zone a little bit off the plate, keep the hitters off the plate. Feels like that's an important part of pitching, important part of being success, being able to control the plate and keep hitters from leaning out over the plate.
Came in a little too far on Peterson, then starts Herrera with a strike on the outside corner. And Elian Herrera fouls off another. The count 0-2. Bannister and Maddox, and those two, of course, lockstep on their philosophies, I guess, on their needs. This pitching staff is Corcoran keeps that one in front of him and holds Peterson to first base. 1-2 the count on Elian Herrera.
Very nice job by Carlos Corcoran blocking that ball in the dirt.
Smothers another one nicely. 2-2 now to the switch hitting Herrera.
Robbins Chirinos, the Rangers starting catcher, made excellent progress last year defensively, blocking balls, throwing runners out, controlling the running game. And Corcoran looks to have that same kind of ability. Rangers will have a good duo behind the plate defensively. There's that inside pitch we're talking about.
A strikeout ends the inning. So the Brewers got a man on in the hit by pitch, but strand him out there. And after 1.5, this one all Rangers. There you go. Typical scene here in the Sonoran Desert. Those thirsty cacti. 7-1 Rangers. Fans enjoying some sun. I'd say they're enjoying offense, Tom, but the reality is that 7-run first inning built largely on walks.
Yeah, a couple of nice hits in the middle of it, but 4 walks and all 4 of them scored.
Home half of the second inning. Elvis Andrus takes a strike. It'll be Andrus, Chu, and Beltre this inning.
It might be one of those games where the regulars at this stage of spring training are playing 5 or 6 innings, but they maybe will get an extra at bat today because of that long inning.
Quickly 0-2 on Andrus. Well, Michael Blazek came in after Youngman just could not seem to figure it out, and he's been pretty efficient. Got a couple of quick outs and jumps ahead of Andrus 1-2. Elvis had a Well hit single in the first inning, and strikes out to start the second.
One thing that's always the case in spring training is the fact that the position players can get ready for the season much quicker than the pitching. You need spring training to be as long as it is so that your starting pitchers are stretched out, your relievers get enough outings and enough innings to be ready for the season. The position players could come to spring training, the shape that they stay in all season long now, all year long. They could come and play in a game after a couple of weeks if they had to.
Scooter Gennett soaks up a ground ball, takes care of Chu, 2 away.
So what a manager tries to do with his position players is give them enough playing time to stay sharp, but not too much playing time, so that they're not at their peak performance when the season starts. It's kind of funny, though, in spring training, the regulars, Beltre, Elvis, will start to play 9 innings maybe the last week and do it a couple of times, and then on opening day they play 9 innings every day for the rest of the season as long as they're healthy. And they could do that right now, but want to make sure they're healthy, want to make sure that they're fresh when the season starts. And that's why managers allocate their playing time to the regulars in spring training the way they do.
Quickly an 0-2 count on Beltre as Blazington there's just firing in strikes right now.
A little toe tap that become a signature of Adrian when he takes an inside pitch.
Fights off a 2-strike pitch. Keep the at-bat going. Drew a bases-loaded walk in the first inning to score the first Rangers run today. First of what would be 7. It's a breaking ball and hits it high in the air left field. And Schaefer able to track it down for a 1-2-3 inning. The Blazers looking good in relief of Youngman. We go to the third, 7-1 Rangers. Well, conversation down the first baseline as we head to the third inning, and Ohlendorf coming off.
Yeah, he went out to throw his warm-up pitches. He jogged to the mound, grabbed the ball, threw a couple of warm-up pitches, and then walked toward the first base line, motioned to the dugout. Jeff Bannister came out, trainers came out, and we don't know exactly what the injury is, but he's not going to pitch anymore. See if we can see anything right here. Whatever happened on that one pitch. I didn't really see it on that one pitch, but evidently there's some discomfort. Kevin Harmon, the Ranger trainer, along with Jeff Bannister, came out, and it could be a new pitcher.
Joe Beimel, the new pitcher. We'll take a quick change. When we come back, we'll tell you all about the new Rangers right-hander. All right, 7-1 Rangers lead. Again, back for the third inning. Joe Beimel has come on to pitch for the Rangers. Rangers just signed him a little over a week ago. As you take a look at Ohlendorf heading down to the clubhouse. So that's a bummer for Ohlendorf and for Rangers fans. I mean, he had pitched well and was throwing the ball well again today. And with that rotation in flux the way it is, that was a good early sign here in camp. But we'll see. We can get a report later on as to his status.
Yeah, it's got to be very disappointing for Ohlendorf. He pitched a couple of innings. He gave up an unearned run, but didn't walk a batter and struck out 4. So in the last 4 innings that he's pitched, he struck out 9 batters in 4 innings. Well, hopefully it's nothing serious. He was scheduled to get another start 4 or 5 days from now. We'll keep you posted on anything we hear about that. In the meantime, the veteran lefty, Joe Beimel, will come in to pitch. He'll get as many warm-up tosses as he needs to get ready because the previous pitcher left because of an injury. Beimel's pitched for a number of teams. He's been a solid veteran lefty out of the bullpen. The Rangers don't have a lot of depth from the left side in their bullpen. So with his experience, he should be a major contender for an opportunity to make the team out of the Ranger bullpen.
Another guy who has those Pittsburgh connections with Bannister too. Yeah. Played with the Pirates in 2011. Actually began his career with the Pirates back in 2001. As you mentioned, though, a number of teams, the Dodgers, the Nationals, the Rockies. Most recently, last year, was with Seattle. And just signed a little more than a week ago, last Saturday. And he'll deal with the top of the order in this third inning. Scooter Gennett, Gene Segura, and Carlos Gomez. Well, the lefty starts him off with strike 1. So here's a good test for Gennett. We were talking earlier about the Brewers and how they want this young man to be the everyday second baseman, no longer in a platoon spot. And the key will be hitting left-handers. And Beimel gets him to swing and miss. It's 0-2.
Yeah, it's a good way for the Rangers to evaluate Joe Beimel as well. He's going to face Gennett, Segura, and Gomez. Lind, 4 regulars from the Milwaukee lineup, all in the top of their lineup. Come into the game after the 6th inning and face the AAA and AA guys. It's not quite the same challenge.
Just misses the outside corner, 1-2. And ostensibly, during the regular season, he would come in to face tough left-handed hitters. So these are the spots where you want to see him excel. Get a guy like Scooter Gennett. And that'll even it up. Last year went 3-1 with Seattle, a .220 earned run average in a total of 56 appearances. So really did a pretty nice job for him. Not a big swing and miss guy, but was durable and able to get out there almost every 3 days, I guess. Less than that. Stays 2-2.
Mentioned there's not a lot of lefties in the Ranger bullpen. Of course, Robbie Ross was a fixture out there, and over the years he was traded. Alex Claudio came up and was very effective toward the end of the season for the Rangers last year. He's pitched pretty well in spring training. Michael Kirkman is another lefty. He pitched in yesterday's ball game.
2-2, and that one off the hands and right there forward at third base. Beltran and his throw to first. Same time. Adrian Beltre, well, correct myself, as Gennett retired for out number 1.
Yeah, that wasn't an easy play. They look easy when they go to that guy, number 29, but that was a one-hop smash. Kind of slicing off the bat. He just stays with it, goes right in the middle of his glove, and that sidearm throw to first base, so accurate that we see day in and day out. Never a surprise when he makes a good play.
1 away, and Gene Segura. Beimel pumps in strike one.
Segura's trying to bounce back. He had a terrific rookie year, then fell down a little bit last year. Only hit 246 last year. Stole 44 bases the year before, only 20 last year.
Another attempt down there at third base for Beltre, and true again, 2 away. All right, got an update on Ross Ohlendorf, left with tightness in his right groin. He did feel it on the final pitch of the second inning. So he's going in for a little treatment, and he'll be reevaluated tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, he threw 36 pitches, 23 for strikes.
Yeah, he threw the ball well for the. I guess he's been throwing the ball well all spring. We just got here, but from what we've heard, everybody's been impressed by him. And there's a lot of competition. You know, there's 6, 7 guys that have all gotten opportunities at different times and pitched well. So you hate to have any kind of a physical setback that'll keep you from going out there and competing, because there's definitely jobs to be won right now in the last 3 weeks.
2 away, and Carlos Gomez lifts one high in the air, deep center field, and that one is gone. A solo home run for Carlos Gomez. And one of the ways in which he can be so dangerous. He's a bit of a free swinger, but he's got good pop.
You can't tell coming off the bat here exactly where the ball's going to go. That ball came off the bat pretty well. I think your first reaction is there's a fly ball to relatively deep left center field. But then you take a look at Martin in center field, and he takes about 2 steps, turns his back to home plate, and just kind of watches it go a little bit over the fence in left field.
Well, I don't take anything for granted. I think it's out there deep enough. It's hard to pick the ball up. I don't know if it's the sun or what it is, but it disappears.
White shirts, white towels on the berm, and
white signs.
Colored signs make it tough to see the ball come down.
1 strike pitch to Adam Lind. It's quickly 0-2.
Beimel will come in again and face 4 regular guys from the Brewer lineup, and 2 of them left-hand hitters.
It was Lind who hit the fly ball to right field in the first inning that Chu lost in the sun and resulted in the first Brewers run. That home run by Gomez, by the way, does put an end to a stretch of 26 2/3 innings for this Rangers staff without an earned run allowed. I'd say in spring training, that's a kind of a remarkable stretch. Go. 2-2 the count now. I mean, we talk about all the bodies you end up throwing out there over the course of a spring training game. You're getting down to single, double-A kids, and the fact that they could stretch out some nearly 27 innings without an earned run, that's pretty good. Lynn reaches out and pops it into center field. Nothing easy about that one, and Martin couldn't grab it. And Lind into second base. Twice today he has reached on a 2-base error.
The sun is definitely right square in the eyes of the center fielder. It's bright enough, and the sky is blue enough with no clouds, where any fly ball presents a little bit of a challenge. But in center field, you can see with his glove up in the air, bending down the way he is, he's fighting the sun all the way. And it looked like that ball hit off the side of his glove. I think virtually every fly ball to center field has a chance for that to happen to it.
Well, they're going to score that one a double.
I think the difference was that it was obvious he was fighting the sun. And the one that Chu had,
that ball smashed up the middle. Base hit from Maldonado. Round third base, Lind. He'll score, and the ball races past Corcoran, allowing Maldonado to get to second base.
Well, there's not many outfielders who can throw better than Leonis Martin. He has a great arm in center field. Last year he was very accurate. That was early Leonys Martin when he first got to the big leagues and was a little bit undisciplined. He's got a shot to get the runner until he bobbles the ball right there. As soon as he bobbled the ball, then he would have been better off just to hang on to it, let the run score, and keep the runner at first base. But when you throw like that, you like to show your arm off, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't want to take that throw to the plate when you don't have a good chance and let the runner get into scoring position.
Now the first offering to Schaefer in there for a strike.
Yeah, that ball that Lind hit to center field, not only was it in the sun, the pitch looked like it was outside. He reached for it, hit it off the end of the bat. It looked like in the regular season it's the kind of ball that might go about 275 feet instead of 375 feet. 365 feet. Ball jumped out there without much of a swing at all.
Well, we talk about the sun or the conditions, but maybe, maybe Lynn just has an ability. He hits invisible balls. That's all.
Hit them where they ain't. Hit them where they can't catch them. Doesn't matter if they get the glove on them, they still can't get them.
0-2. One bounces up there to Schaefer. Schaefer flied out of the second inning, 0 for 1 today.
Take a look at the swing by Lind. It's, it's a pitch that's way outside. He just reaches for it with 2 strikes just to put the ball in play. Now it's a ball that obviously without the sun it's caught for an out, but still it's the kind of ball that didn't look like it was going to go that far with that kind of a swing.
Now thrusting his backside out there to first and throwing the bat out over the plate. They got a double out of it. Bimel's 1-2. Has popped up, and that's just as much trouble as any. And down that left field line, what a diving play by Smolinski to track it down and end the inning. Nicely done. But 2-run score for Milwaukee there after the third inning, trying to climb back in this thing. Rangers defense bails them out. Our Rangers leading 7-3 as we head to the bottom of the third inning, and due up in this last of the third, Prince fielder Mitch Moreland, Jake Smolinski just made the very nice play to end the inning, and we also very pleased to welcome in Jeff Bannister joining us for at least half an inning here. And Skipper, I trust you were pretty pleased with the way Ohlendorf threw the ball. It's a shame that he had to leave early.
No, you know what? He threw the ball well. The fastball was coming out clean. Had to change up in play and a breaking ball as well. Yeah, it's tough anytime you see a player come off the field with a little bit of an injury.
Jeff, one of the things that the situation that's presented itself is the opportunity in the pitching staff, not only in the rotation but also in the bullpen. You've got a lot of guys to evaluate. You've got a lot of B games and extra opportunities. A lot of your time seems to being spent on evaluating pitchers for your staff. Is that a fun part of your job so far?
Well, first of all, no doubt. Yeah, it's, a lot of time evaluating a lot of players, really, but on the pitching side as well. But
well, there's a Prince fielder's swing and a high drive to right, but knocked down and then dropped by Peterson. Fielder got out of the box. Will try for 3, and he'll be in there easily. I'd like to see the big fella running.
Yeah, tough Sunday.
I think, Jeff, I'm going to segue into what's going on in the outfield today. What is it about Arizona that makes Major League outfielders? I know there's sun up there, but there's a lot more going on than just the sun, isn't there?
And you know what? The wind, you look at the flags are blowing, but it's such a high sky here. You know what? Also, the thin air out here, and the ball seems to travel a little further than you think. And, it's a challenge here. We've seen it already. But you know what? It is spring training. It's another opportunity for players to battle and grind through things.
Yep. We're talking about the opportunity in the rotation. Do you see the possibility, Skipper, that there's a guy competing for the rotation who could end up being in the bullpen by the time you break? No doubt. I mean, we're looking at all options for all of our guys, but more importantly, you know what? You got to solidify that starting rotation first, but also look at the options that you do have for arms to be able to pitch out the bullpen for you as well.
Well, Mitch Moreland with another good at-bat. He's driven in 3 runs today, and I'd say the way the offense has looked, the at-bats have been very good. You helped out by some walks in that first inning, but the guys showing good patience. You like the approach today? No doubt. You know what, the quality ABs. In the last few days, the quality of the at-bats were a little bit challenging for us, and we had a meeting this morning. Dave Magadan and the hit doctors, they put some work in with these guys and challenged them to have better at-bats, be more patient, and be stubborn with their approach. So, I mean, you see it today. These guys they're not only are they being evaluated, but they want to show you what they can do as well in every situation. Jeff, you came into spring training with expectations. You came into spring training with a program. And now you're about halfway through your first spring training. How would you rate the way that your players have responded to you, to your program, and how have they met your expectations? You know what, they've done a great job with the expectations, things we've asked them to do. First of all, it's a hard 27 outs. It's hustling. It's playing a brand of baseball that everybody can be proud of, an identity that they want to have. And they've got after as good as I could expect at this point. And it's an identity. And I told them from the beginning it was what they wanted with their club, what they wanted to be known for, and so it was a brand of baseball that, we can give, all of our fans something to be proud of. How tough is it to talk to us and give signs at the same time? You know what? Hey, look, listen. First of all, standing next to Clint Herter for the last 4 years, there's a lot of talking going on, but you learn to, share your focus in a lot of different directions. But it's a game of baseball. It is what it is, and you learn to be able to multitask in this game. There's been a lot of conversation in this camp about the left field spot. It's wide open. It's a race with a number of horses in it, and Smolinski's having a great day today for you, both offensively and defensively. What ultimately do you feel will tip the balance when you evaluate these guys? Is it the bats? Is it the play defensively? What are you looking for in specifics in left field? All the above, really. I mean, it's the athleticism, how they play defense. You got to be able to trust a man out on defense and what he can do for you, especially in our ballpark in Arlington. It's a big left field, and he's got to be able to run balls down, be able to catch what you're supposed to catch, make the proper throws. But at the plate, more than anything else, a professional at bat, keep the line moving, be able to situationally hit. And I mean, if you show up with the power shows up, that's always a big plus for us. But well, speaking of power, that one well hit by Corcoran off the fence at left field. Moreland comes in to score. And the offense rolling today for the Rangers. Boy, you gotta love days like today.
No, yeah, look, you know, it is spring training, and there's a lot of different pitchers that are going out there facing. You know, you don't know how many appearances that they've had and where they're at in their process. But, you know, more than anything, when we look at our guys, it's their approach and how stubborn they are with their approach, their intent with their approach, and how convicted they are, and the confidence of how they take their approach. And one thing that we stress to them, you know, in spring training was stay stubborn with it. Stay stubborn with the wide part of the field. Stay on the fastball. Continue to hit, try to backspin, hit line drives through the infield. The home runs and the power will show up when you do that. But, you know, we're getting ready to get to the point to where a lot of these pitchers, starting pitchers, are in their, you know, third time around, and you know, their third appearances, and they're starting your pitches are starting to get a little sharper, a little more effective. Not just throwing fastballs, you know, to get in shape. They're mixing in all their pitches. So more than anything, stay stubborn with their approaches.
I would think one of the keys for you this spring is making sure the season starts with Chu, Fielder, and Moreland healthy. All three of those guys had various types of injuries last year. How would you rate their health and what you've seen from them so far?
You know what? They've been terrific with safe. Oh, you kidding me?
Well, Odor with the line out to left, and Smolinski very close.
Well, we can't replay it, so we'll move on. No, you know, to answer the question about their health, yeah, we want all those guys on the diamond. We want to make sure. I keep telling them all the time, it's about 162. It's not about one. It's not about the day one. It's about, you know, them being in shape, them being healthy. And then the other thing is just getting back on the diamond. I mean, they've missed significant time. And, I mean, it's been, for Fielder, it was 9.5 months since he took a professional at bat, and he's been on the dirt. So, you know, there are a lot of things that he's experiencing again for the first time, and he's got to go through that entire process, all of them. Chu, you know, this is, you know, like the ball in the outfield just now. I mean, it was one of those things. I mean, he needs to experience those type of plays over and over again so that, you know, he knows what it feels like. He also knows what it feels like to make a mistake, to come back from it. So, you know, I'm pleased with where they are right now, and more importantly, yeah, making that progress towards day one.
Martin fouls off strike one. Well, Leonys Martin, we've talked about him this spring as a guy you want to just take over that leadoff spot, right? I mean, you'd like him to emerge as that guy and just set him there every day?
Yes, I'd like for Leonys to step up, step in, and be that guy every day at the top of the lineup. You know, he'd be that catalyst for our offense, a guy that, you know, that makes the offense go, the energy that he brings every day, and, you know, the skill set that he does have, the on base, the power, the hit, the bunt, all of it, the base run. I mean, it's, you know, it's a unique skill set that we'd like to be able to utilize at the top of the lineup. And, you know, I've had multiple conversations with him about locking that spot down. The confidence that I have that he has a skill set to be able to do that in him on an everyday basis.
And Jeff, the other thing we were talking about this morning is you also want to maintain some flexibility with your order, right? You're not one of those guys needs 8-9 guys in set positions every day.
No, you know what? That's a luxury when you have that. I mean, you'd really like to, you know, at any one point to be able to have these guys feel comfortable hitting in a lineup where you need to hit them in the lineup, and this is, you know, how the synergy they create for each other, but also comfortable if we ask them to hit third, to hit third. And you need for, you know, we have a few guys in our lineup that have that skill set, and more importantly, a guy like Chu that, you know, is hitting the leadoff spot. He's hitting 2 spot. We've got him hitting third today, and, you know, it is a luxury to have a guy that can be able to have that type of skill set. But, you know, it also depends on, you know, the stuff on the mound and how you construct your lineup. We want to be able to construct a lineup so that, you know, there's no holes, really, if you will, and it's just to be able to construct innings to score runs, you know, in all innings.
Oh, full count on Martin. And Blazek gets him swinging. Skipper, thanks so much for spending a little time with us.
Hey, great time, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, there you go. Jeff Bannister, manager of the Rangers, and he's enjoying a 9-3 lead as we go to the 4th. Top of the fourth inning, Rangers leading 9-3. And the Texas Rangers 10-game plan still on sale through the end of March. Choose from 6 available plans and save up to 17% off gate prices. But best of all, you'll get opening day free. Just check it out at texasrangers.com/10-game plans for details and to purchase. Sounds like a pretty good idea. And opening day not that far off, as we're about midway through spring training as we go to the fourth inning. The third pitcher this afternoon for the Rangers, Chichi Gonzalez.
Well, Chichi Gonzalez, one of the Rangers' gems from their farm system, getting a look in spring training, and who knows, maybe a more than just a look, maybe an opportunity to win a job in the rotation. You'd have to say it's a little bit of a long shot just because his minor league experience is not that extensive, but his ability to throw the baseball is pretty impressive. Rangers like what they see, and again, he's getting a good opportunity to pitch in A games in the middle of spring training, so anything can happen.
All right-handers first pitch right in there. Strike one to Luis Jimenez. Running the first, 2 and the third today for Milwaukee. Chichi 6 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings so far this spring. Good sized kid. Boy, we were talking about that today too, down there on the back fields. Any of these young men playing the game, it's so impressive as the ball hit sharply down to third, handled easily by Beltre, one away.
And it seems like the average size of a pitcher, just tossing out a number, 40 years ago might have been 6'1", let's say 200 pounds, 195 pounds. Now when you stand next to the 30 or 40 pitchers in spring training and look around, it seems like the average size of a pitcher now is about 6'3", 6'4", and about 220 pounds. Very few 5'10", 5'11" guys. Occasionally you'll see left-handers that tall, but not many right-handers. Jason Frazier, one of the exceptions to that rule. Jason, a fine relief pitcher for the Rangers the last couple of years. Kind of a short in stature right-hander with a good arm and a good fastball. A lot of success at the big league level. But for the most part, when you see big league starting pitchers, right-handers anyway, they're 6'3" to 6'5" and about 220 pounds.
All breathing smoke out of their nose and throwing at 98 as bouncer to second results in the second out of the inning. Peterson retired.
Yeah, that's the other side of it. When they come out of the bullpen, they're 6'4", 220, and they are. Nowadays, it's very rare to see a bullpen on any major league team that doesn't have at least 2 or 3 guys throwing 96 to 98 miles an hour. Some of them, like Kansas City, have even more than that. They look for reasons why strikeouts have gone up almost yearly for the last 8 years. There's a lot of reasons, but certainly one of them is the quality of pitching and the arms out of the bullpen. Your starter goes out after 6 innings. It used to be get the starter out of there so you can get to the bullpen. Right. I guess if you can get to the middle part of the bullpen, that may be true. But if you want to get the starter out so you can get to the end of the bullpen, you might see guys that throw better than the starter did.
2-0 to Elian Herrera. This kid, Chichi Gonzalez, I mean, he can throw upwards 97 miles per hour with a fastball. He's tends to live more than 92 to 95 range, but well, that's pretty good heat. And another 2-hopper to second base.
Yeah, one thing you like about him is he gets a little sinking action on that fastball, 3 weak ground balls.
A 1-2-3 inning for Gonzalez, and we head to the bottom of the fourth. Rangers lead by 6. Here we go, home half of the fourth inning. It'll be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Rangers against a new pitcher for Milwaukee. Michael Blazek did a great job in relief of Taylor Youngman. And now it's Thornburg. I always think of like some novel or movie or something. Was it Thornburgs?
Thornburgs.
Every time I see his
the Tyler Thornburgs are here today. Spring training numbers for Tyler Thornburg. Nice ERA. He's been in 3 games from 4 2/3 innings. He'll probably get a chance to throw as many innings as his pitch count will allow him today after the starter, Taylor Youngman, was only able to get through 1/3 of an inning. The Brewers have brought 7 or 8 pitchers today, so getting through 8 or 9 innings will not be a problem for them. Although the innings are going to be allocated a little bit differently than they intended them to be.
Of course, right after we talk about the great size of so many players these days, high fly ball center field. Eesh, those are an adventure. Gomez makes the catch, one away.
Literally every ball to the outfield is an adventure. Certainly every one to center field. I don't think you'll see a fly ball to center field where the center fielder doesn't do this. Lean over, strain to see the ball, put your glove up in front of your face so that it covers the sun, and then hope that the ball appears to the side of your glove out of the sun. Combine that with sunglasses. They don't, they don't go out there without sunglasses in this kind of a sun.
Well, they ought to go out there with a helmet. I mean, this is,
yeah, and a bigger glove.
These conditions are not too favorable. Chu fouls one right off his foot, and the count 1-1. New third baseman for Milwaukee. Jason Rogers has come in to take over third. So we're starting to get to that portion of the game. I was going to say, though, right after we talk about all these great sized pitchers, Thornburg comes in and he's not so big. A little grounder to shortstop and a close play at first, but Chu retired on the 6-3 putout. Herrera, by the way, moved from third to second base. But Thornburg, I mean, he's 5'11", 189. He's just a terrific athlete. Was a two-way player in college. And another guy they're looking at as a long reliever, or potentially, that first call-up of the season to join the rotation. A number 6 starter, if you will. Last year pitched 27 times in relief for Milwaukee. They're trying to stretch him out a little bit this year, though, as Beltre 0 for 1 with a walk, a run scored, and an RBI today. And he'll watch the count go to 1-1. And Beltre fouls one off his foot. Thornburg, a guy who missed some time at inflammation in his elbow. They decided just to go with the rest and relaxation, let it heal naturally without the strain of throwing, and he appears to be fine. Has thrown pretty effectively so far this spring for Milwaukee. And there's 1-2 to Beltre. Poked down to first base. Jimenez is there, goes to first, and that completes a 1-2-3 inning for Tyler Thornburg and the Brewers. We go to the 5th here at Surprise Stadium. 9-3 Rangers. Texas Rangers baseball on TXA 21 is sponsored by Sport City Toyota. Surf the city and save at sportcitytoyota.com. Valley of the Sun. We're at Surprise Stadium on the Surprise Recreation Campus. Kids just crawling all over this place. And all over their parents.
That's a popular place to watch a game for families out there. Got a little bit of slope, so it's easier to lie down or sit down and watch the game. Put your blanket down, get your favorite beverage, let the kids roam around wherever they want to go, and just watch out for incoming baseballs. Yeah. That's the only danger out there. You feel pretty safe, but you never know.
Chichi Gonzalez. Oh, perfect fourth inning. Now in the fifth.
The thing that was impressive about Gonzalez last inning was a young pitcher trying to make a ball club, trying to impress a manager. And he doesn't look like the kind of guy that overthrows.
Rogers sneaks one down the first baseline for a single.
I think a lot of times you would expect a young pitcher to come in and just throw the ball as hard as he can and not have the command that you'd like to see. But in that first inning, and even that ball, that was just a ground ball that found a hole right down the line. He's shown the knack to make the ball sink a little bit, throw strikes, and get ground balls.
Now Gene Segura. That one right in there for a strike. You mentioned earlier, Tom, last year was a real disappointing year for Gene Segura, and he turned down a multi-year deal very early in the season and then went through just a tragic situation in the middle of the summer when he lost his little baby boy and just a sudden bout of illness down in the Dominican and had to leave the team for a while. They're really hoping, and I think they're really counting on this being a bounce back year for Gene Segura, and it's going to be critical for them to compete in the National League Central that he does come back big for them.
No, he's a good player, but I think a season where you go through that kind of misfortune, that kind of emotional roller coaster that he went through, makes it tough for anybody to perform. So hopefully this will be a year where he can bounce back. Excellent slider right there from Chichi Gonzalez after mostly fastballs fooled Segura with that pitch.
First strike out of the afternoon for Gonzalez, and with one out, a man on. Gomez takes ball one. Carlos Gomez, big home run in the third inning. Gold Glove outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers. It's been like 3 decades since an outfielder had won a Gold Glove with Milwaukee. And he is some kind of athlete, though. 2-time All-Star. Might get something good here. 2-0. That one just missed. Not sure where. 3-0.
Well, he didn't give him a comfortable 2-0 pitch. He's looking for something to drive out over the plate. He pounded him inside with that 94-mile-an-hour tailing fastball and knocked him right out of the batter's box. There's another one right in there, right in on the fists. You can just see with those last 2 pitches, a lot of hitters, most hitters aren't comfortable when you pound them in with a good fastball. Even if it catches the corner like that, you're looking for something out over the plate that they can drive.
3-1. And they'll put him on. Gomez aboard. Rogers moves to second base. And here comes Adam Lind.
That's a good part of the game for the Rangers to evaluate Chichi Gonzalez before the regulars come out of the game. He's going to pitch here in the middle innings, and he's going to face the middle of the lineup and all the regulars too. So hard to evaluate during spring training. The conditions, the weather conditions, the fields, the light air, the way the ball carries makes it difficult to judge pitchers. Lineups from one day to the next, you might face 8 regulars. Next day you might face 2 or 3 regulars. So the competition that the pitchers face is very uneven.
And certainly you can't just pick up a box score and get any sense at all for how somebody threw or performed that day. There's just no telling.
No. Certainly true with pitchers. That's why you go to spring training in Arizona and pitch on days like this, and you hope that you're a veteran starting pitcher where the results don't matter. It's getting your work, getting your pitch count up, and you know you've got a spot. But young pitchers, guys competing for jobs, aren't judged the same way. They're judged not only on how they look, but to a certain degree on their performance and the results. Held to a different standard when you're trying to make a ball club as opposed to when you've already got a position on the club made.
Gonzalez's fastball looks pretty good today. 1-on-1 now and then. When you were a general manager, how would you?
You just do your best. You know, you try to evaluate the at bats, evaluate the stuff. How about the location, the assortment of pitches, the movement on the fastball, velocity of the fastball? You know, all the things that go in to determining whether a guy's a good pitcher. You try to look at all of them, not just the results, because sometimes you can have all the indicators look pretty good, but a couple of bloopers fall in, a ball get up in the air and blown for a 3-run homer, and before you know it, a guy's pitched 3 or 4 innings and given up 5 or 6 runs, but his stuff really was pretty good and his pitches were pretty good. And then it can work the opposite too. You can have mediocre stuff and hit some line drives all over the field and they're all caught. You can't just look at the results and say, boy, you got them all out today. Well, how did he do it?
What a roller up the middle for a base hit. Rogers to third. They'll wave him home, and Gomez goes all the way to third base on the single by Lynn. So a run across for Milwaukee makes it a 9-4 game.
That's a fairly well hit ground ball, but with a little good fortune, the ball goes to second base. You get the ground ball double play and you're right out of the inning. But a couple of ground balls this inning have found holes. The one that Rogers hit to start the inning was not a real hard hit ground ball right down the first baseline. That one was hit sharply by Lind and found a hole.
No, when Phil Garner managed the Astros during spring training, one of the things he pointed out was he liked occasionally to see a kid give up a cheap hit or whatever, just to see how he would react, right? Just to see how they would pitch through whatever adversity happened to face him that day.
Yeah, and I guess that's another criteria that you look at for the pitcher. What's his composure like? What's his demeanor on the mound? What's his body language on the mound? Does he feel like he belongs there? Is he hoping to make the team? Is he a little nervous out there? Tough things to evaluate, but things that go through your mind when you are evaluating a pitcher.
Pinch runner at first base for Milwaukee, Clint Coulter. Relieving Adam Lind is Martin Maldonado. Getting a third at bat today. Right-handed hitting catcher. And he spoils that one to make it 0-2. He's not a huge threat offensively, but he is capable and much more known for his defense. Has a fantastic arm. And the Brewers liked him enough. They just signed him to a 2-year deal this spring. Puerto Rican kid, grew up, of course, idolizing Ivan Rodriguez. He was a big Pudge fan, and
a pretty good deal to get a 2-year contract as a backup catcher.
Right.
Shows what they think of him.
1-2 the count. He's very good buddies with Yadier Molina and tries to model his game a little bit as much as possible after Yadier. That's easier said than done. I mean, that guy's pretty darn good. But they work out together as a pitch to Maldonado misses, and the count 2-2.
First inning for Gonzalez, 3 up, 3 down. He was spotting that fastball right where he wanted it. This inning, not quite the same command with it, struggling just a little bit. I'm missing by a lot with most of those fastballs, but trying to hit the corners and not quite getting the calls as much this inning.
2-2, chopped to short. Nice backhand stop by Andrus, and they'll get the runner at second, but Gomez scampers in from third base to score and make it a 9-5 game. This one might be a clock management game before it's all done. Whoever has the ball in the last 2 minutes, chance to drive the field, score, and maybe seal it.
Well, I hope they don't have to play this way, but they will get the ball last in this game if they need to. Hopefully they won't need to.
Well, Schaefer 0 for 2 so far today, and takes a strike. The regulars for Milwaukee, Scooter, Jeanette, Segura, Gomez, Len, Maldonado, they've done the damage today as that ball smashed down to first, and a real nice play made by Moreland to end the inning. But 2 more score for Milwaukee as they try to creep back in it. It's a 9-5 game as we head to the bottom of the 5th. (9-5) Rangers with the lead. They got 7 of those 9 runs in the first inning. And the Brewers just kind of chipping away, trying to keep it competitive this afternoon. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Prince Fielder will lead things off. This folks getting a beautiful day to watch a little baseball down here in Surprise, Arizona. There's a big fella. And there's a bigger fella. There's another big fella indeed.
A lot of Ranger fans in town. Surprise, Arizona, the Phoenix area. Nice vacation destination for Ranger fans. See them all over town. See them in restaurants, around the hotels, out at the ballpark. And invariably, when you chat up one of the Ranger fans, they say how much they love coming out here and watching spring training baseball.
Fielder takes a good cut at the first pitch, lifts it high in the air right field. And that was borderline routine. Made it look easy out there. Peterson hauls it in, 1 away.
Fastball, good fastball to hit. He put a good swing on it. Just got underneath it a little bit. Well, last year with a sore shoulder, it was hard for Prince to really turn on a fastball. I think pitchers were able to take advantage of his health problem and get the ball in on him a little bit. But I read where he bench pressed 400 pounds sometime in the offseason, so he must be feeling pretty good right now. And those same fastballs that were giving him problems last year Might be giving pitchers problems this year. He had a pretty good swing at that pitch.
Marlins had an outstanding day today at the plate. 2-run single in the first inning. Another RBI single in the third. Scored a couple runs. And just moments ago made a nifty little play at first base. And now in a hole 1 and 2. Thornburg in his second inning of work. Tired. The 3-min he faced in the 4th inning. And Moreland, pretty good swing on this one. High in the air. Deep right center. No problem. Hogan Schaefer there to make the play. Oh, what happened to the sun all of a sudden? It's easy out there.
It might be moving a little bit away from the direct line of sight of the center fielder. He still had to use his glove, but he looked like he had that one under control all the way.
And he's moved into center field from left. Carlos Gomez had a couple of real battles out there. Is now Jake Smolinski. And we talk about that battle for the left field spot, and no one's tipping their hand. I mean, everybody still very much in it. And Smolinski today making quite the statement, both offensively and defensively. Made a real nice play in foul ground in the 3rd inning.
You know, if Jake didn't get hurt last year, he was very impressive in his stint with the Rangers until he got hurt. Had he not gotten hurt and continued to play the way he was playing, he might be coming into spring training as the man to beat.
How about this day? Not bad. First time up. The 2-run triple and follows it with the single. And how about that play to end the 3rd inning?
Well, the skipper said he wanted to see athleticism and the ability to play defense, and a guy that can swing the bat. He's pulled one to left center field and hit an outside pitch to right field, so not much more he can show.
Another good swing. This one not going to carry, however. Schaefer, the center fielder there, and completes the 1-2-3 inning for Tyler Thornburg, and it takes this game to the 6th. Rangers still lead by 4. Four-run lead for the Rangers as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Dave Raymond, Tom Grieve, and pleased to be joined by first baseman Mitch Moreland. Nice game today, Mitch.
Thanks, guys. How y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
Mitch, talk about coming back from your injury, getting to spring training, getting back into the swing of things, playing a full ball game, and what you feel like and what you're trying to accomplish right now.
Yeah, you know, it was a obviously I was pretty excited to get back out there. It took a while for me, with the injury, so I put in a lot of time here in spring training trying to, just get the baseball feel back and get my legs up under me, and going into the game, just trying to get my timing down, trying to be ready to hit, and for the most part, it's went pretty smooth so far. I think, as a whole group, we've done pretty well so far.
Well, one thing that you should have been able to accomplish, and at least say to yourself, is the ankle must feel pretty good the way you rolled around the bases from first base on that extra base hit.
I don't know if roll's quite the word, but yeah, they were telling me I looked like I was in slow motion or underwater. So.
Well, you had to run as fast as you can and slide, so the ankle held up.
Yeah,
that's the good thing, right?
That's right. I was able to make it through it, and I got home safely, so we were good with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One away on the bouncer to Andrews, but at this point you're about midway through it. Physically you feel good. What are you trying to get done then day to day in terms of timing or just getting your legs underneath you?
Right. I started out it was pretty kind of, I had a small workload, easing into it, but here of late I've pretty much done everything, as far as my running, my ground balls, and just trying to get back, like I said, into that baseball shape. And the first 2 weeks of spring training seems like everything's sore, and you're trying to fight through some little bumps and bruises here, just getting back on your feet and getting on the dirt with spikes again. But right about now is usually when everybody kind of starts feeling good again, I think, and going out there and really fine-tuning some things. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm trying to go out and just get my timing down, just try to be ready for the season. And I think this kind of starts right in this range.
Have you gotten to the point, Mitch, where day in and day out you don't even think about your ankle, or is there still some after effects from the surgery?
I still feel it in the mornings. It gets a little sore every now and then, but it's, for the most part, once I get out there and start running around, moving around on it, it loosens up pretty good, and I'm able to get through the day, kind of pain-free. So
good.
I want to ask you about your manager, Mitch. We observed from our standpoint as a little bouncer to second base. Johnson handles it 2 away here in the 6th inning. There's a sense, though, that the players have responded well to Jeff Bannister and his philosophies, his energy. Just give us a little glimpse, a little sense from inside the clubhouse, what it's been like.
I think it's been great. He's full of energy every day. We've had a lot of meetings, game review meetings and stuff, and he's great at getting you ready. Making sure you're focused on each day, what we've got at hand, and just really concentrating on the present day and not really worrying about what happened last year or yesterday or whatever it may be. Just focus on what we've got that day, and really keeping it simple for us, but at the same time keeping us ready and keeping us focused. And you can't ask for much more than that from Banny. And I think it's speaking for everybody, we've all been really excited and kind of clicked pretty good since day one.
We talked, Mitch, a little bit about the team bouncing back from the news of Yu Darvish, but from a player's perspective, what was it like when you got that news, and what do the players need to do after hearing that news?
Yeah, you hate to lose a guy like Darvish, but this is it's spring training out here. We've got 25 guys on the team, and we've got to bounce back. Some guys will step up, and that's the way it kind of rolls around. Everybody has to deal with adversity, and I think you kind of separate yourself to being a championship team when you can do that and still overcome it. And that's our goal this year. We're going to go out and try to do that. But we'll be there for you and be behind him. But the season's got to go on, and we've got to step up and play even harder.
Absolutely.
We haven't really brought it up today, Tom, but Mitch, you can speak to it. We understand that today you guys were instructed by Banny to not show up until 8 o'clock, right? You guys are forbidden from being here before 8 a.m.
Yeah, it was a $100 fine if we showed up before 8.
So what does that mean? What does that mean to you guys, and how does it affect a mentality of the team?
I don't know. I might start doing it every day. I felt pretty good today. So
that's one way baseball's changed.
Yeah.
They used to try to get us to get there by 8 o'clock. They tell you don't come until 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
that's a little bit of a change. He said some guys actually get there at 5 o'clock. Are you one of them?
I get here at 6 every morning.
Wow.
Yeah. I usually get up about 5:30 and try to get to the field and get my stuff done, and that way you can kind of get everything done in the morning, and then when you're done playing in the afternoon, you can take it to the house. You don't have to do your workouts afterwards. So that's kind of where we've been. But, you know, everybody's got the routine. You're just trying to find one to stick to it right now.
Well, listen, this one worked out for you today, Mitch. Great game, and thanks so much for the time.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Glad you're feeling good, Mitch.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, Mitch Moreland, our guest, as we head to the last of the 6th inning. Rangers by 4. Home half of the 6th inning, Rangers by 4 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. New pitcher coming on for Milwaukee, Jed Bradley, the new left-hander, and we're pleased to be joined by Reese Ryan here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Reese, thank you for joining us. Tom, put the phone away.
Sorry about that.
I know you guys, though, the owner, CEO, Ryan Sanders Baseball, getting ready for another big league weekend coming up, and the Dodgers coming. You got a lot going on these days.
Man, it's a busy time in Ryan Sanders Baseball. So our guys are actually at the Alamo Dome today, working around the clock, converting the Alamo Dome from a traditional football facility into a temporary baseball facility, which is a pretty unique experience if you hadn't been down there to see baseball in the Alamo Dome. It's a lot of fun.
When you guys first announced Big League Weekend, I think a lot of us said, how in the world are you going to play baseball in the Alamo Dome? How'd you turn it into a baseball field?
Well, I can't take any of the credit. That was actually Reed's idea. We were driving down to our ballpark in Corpus, and he came up with the idea. And then we started, kind of scratching our head and rolling our sleeves up, see if it could actually happen. And once we kind of realized it would work and we could make it happen, then the work began.
Sure. Well, we were talking to Reed last year about the turf and how much the turf cost and how you had to store it and put it back there. That's logistical nightmare in itself, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. We have a full-time, a year-round storage facility that we store the turf in San Antonio, a couple blocks from the dome, but there wasn't enough room to keep it in the dome permanently. So it's really an interesting deal and a lot of fun, but it is a logistical challenge. But we're looking forward to it. This Friday and Saturday should be a lot of fun and should be well worth all the effort that goes into putting the games on.
Well, you have the Rangers, Dodgers at the Alamo Dome Friday night, Saturday afternoon. Tickets starting at $10, but you guys have also built around it, right? I mean, it's an entire weekend experience.
It really is. We kicked the weekend off on Thursday night. We have a dinner we're calling Kings of the Diamond. And Nolan Ryan, Pete Rose, hit King, strikeout King, doing a little Q&A and telling some baseball stories. So we'll get it kicked off with that. We have a card and memorabilia show in this dome during the two games that are open to anybody that buys a ticket to either game. And then a post-game concert after each game. And, for folks to have a chance to see the Dodgers and the Rangers square off in Texas, it's going to be a really fun, unique weekend.
They've had great success with it in past years, and Does it seem like year by year it just gains momentum and turns into a bigger and bigger beast for you?
Well, I think the first year we really got off to a bang because we were coming off a World Series appearance, which you guys know really helps attendance.
Yep.
And in that year we played the Padres, which I don't think there was any connection from the San Antonio fan base with the Padres, at least not the historic connection that there is with the Dodgers. So this year, with San Antonio being a big Ranger market, but also having that connection to the Dodgers because their AAA or AA affiliate was there for 23 years. We're really hoping for some big crowds and some diehard Texas baseball fans.
I think the best part of the whole weekend for me would be the opportunity to hear your dad and Pete Rose talk baseball. I'd like to hear both of them talk about the matchups that they had over the years, one against the other.
Well, I made my dad promise to tell the story about when he and Pete faced each other, and Pete was trying to break the National League hit record.
Yeah.
And first at bat gets a hit off my dad to tie it. And then my dad strikes him out the next 3 times he faced him. And Pete was so frustrated that he broke his bat after striking out the final time, but walks to the dugout, turned and tipped his hat to my dad. And my dad said it was the greatest compliment he's probably gotten on the field was Pete Rose tipping his hat to him.
Well, there probably weren't many times where Pete Rose struck out 3 times in a game. Nowadays, guys strike out. It doesn't have quite the same stigma that it did back then, but a strikeout was something that he took personally, so to get him 3 straight times is a pretty good accomplishment.
That's exactly right. And, Pete was such a competitor, and he was one of the players that I loved to watch.
Sure.
Just because of the way he played the game.
Martin fights one off in the count 0-2. Elliott Johnson with a 1-out single out there at first base for the Rangers, leading by 4.
Now for fans coming to those games, Reese, I understand the gates are going to open really early so you can get a chance to watch both teams take batting practice.
That's right. So we're going to open the gates early. Game on Friday is a 7:05 first pitch, but you'll have a chance to watch both teams. It's really neat to see these guys taking batting practice in that facility.
Yeah.
And, that's just part of the experience. And we felt like opening the gates and letting the fans be there for both batting practices would be something to really add to the weekend.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a great move. Now, I almost hate to ask this question, right, because you've got enough on your plate right now, but do you already start planning for next year right now?
We do. It's almost like a bowl game. It's a continuous process. We have 2 gentlemen that work on this project year-round, and it's a big undertaking, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a really unique opportunity for the fans in San Antonio to see 2 of the premier franchises in baseball square off. And those folks, it's a great market. They're baseball fans. There's a AA team in San Antonio. And it's just a neat opportunity for the Rangers to continue to gain market share down there and to have a presence and to treat those fans. A lot of those folks can't get up to Arlington to see the Rangers, but they can afford a $10 ticket and an opportunity to see them in their own backyard.
Sure.
Well, Elvis going to get a 4th at bat this afternoon. And I trust this would be his last of the day. Although I don't know, I suppose it doesn't do any good to guess. We'll find out soon enough. But one of the last regulars still in here.
Well, we were talking early, Dave, about that first inning.
We'll throw down a second.
That was his 4th at bat.
Yeah. Now Andrews has something to consider. Do you stick around, play another half inning? Reese, thanks so much for stopping by. Good luck this weekend. We'll be anxious to see how it goes.
Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for being in San Antonio this weekend.
That's Reese Ryan, owner, CEO of Ryan Sanders Baseball. 9-5, Rangers lead as we go to the 7th. I want to tell you about the Cholula all-you-can-eat seats. They have a new name, a new look. That's right. This year, fans will enjoy a newly renovated Cholula porch. Well, you get the same great all-you-can-eat menu. You get grilled chicken sandwiches, the hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, peanuts, all the soda that Tom Grieve can drink. Get your Cholula all-you-can-eat seats at TexasRangers.com. Well, here we go to the 7th inning. Rangers leading 9-5. 7 of those 9 runs came in the first inning. And the Brewers have just sort of chipped away over the course of the afternoon. The good news is, Tom, this game has settled in one respect. The sun and the wind seem to be having at least a diminished effect.
Yeah, it definitely seems the last couple of innings like the outfielders have either figured it out or the elements have been subdued to the point where it's made it much easier for them, because the fly balls are starting to look more like routine fly balls.
Rogers lines one to the gap left center field. That one drops and runs all the way to the wall, and he'll have his second hit of the afternoon. Came in for Scooter Gennett and is now 2 for 2. Meanwhile, Chichi Gonzalez out for his 4th inning of work.
That one probably looked like a cutter maybe that got the middle of the plate. Rogers was able to get the good part of the bat on it, making the most of his playing opportunity today. That's Anton Richardson in center field, I think, for Leonis Martin.
Indeed, soft liner right back to the mound, and Gonzalez able to handle it. No, 1 out. Now here's Ben Guess. We'll take another look at that. Look, you know, those can be really jarring. Didn't get there very fast, but the temptation is to react immediately.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Well, when you're a pitcher and you let go of the ball, you're that close to the hitter, and you've had, I don't care who the pitcher is, you've had some shot back at you 100 miles an hour. Your first reaction is, here comes another one at 100 miles an hour. And sometimes when they're not hit as well, they almost come at you like a changeup. But it doesn't change your reaction because you're just getting out of the way. But you can see him, he's ducking and almost double clutched. Fortunately, the ball wasn't hit that hard, and Chichi had a chance to get his glove in the way of the ball. But boy, of a pitcher, if when in doubt, get out of the way. So dangerous the way those balls jump off the bat coming back at a pitcher.
I've seen it too many times.
Yeah.
First at bat of the day for Ben Guess. Came in defensively into left field. Taps one foul. You see just by looking at Guess's numbers, I mean, he's not really in the mix right now for a spot coming out of spring training with Milwaukee, but these can be valuable moments going forward for a franchise. You know, you start developing kids well in advance of when you're going to need them, obviously. When you're a general manager, you know, obviously there are kids that you invite up, right, just to give them a little taste of the big league atmosphere.
Yeah, I always thought that some of the most exciting times in spring training were giving young players an opportunity to get a look in big league games. And, you know, a couple of guys come to mind back then. I think the most exciting young player at the time to get into a spring training game was Ruben Sierra. When the 1 year he played well enough to make the team, really. It was the year he got called up during the season. But watching him run and the things he could do on a big league field was really one of the exciting parts of spring training. Watching Pete Incaviglia, the first year he was there, he never played in the minor leagues, make the team out of spring training, hit a ball that took a chip out of the wall in left field. Everybody said he drove the ball right through the left field wall. It wasn't quite the case. But then, you know, watching Pudge and Juan Gonzalez, And I think the Rangers are, I know the Rangers are hoping that some of their young players are the same kind of young players. Maybe Joey Gallo will be that kind of a hitter. You never know. Alfaro, the catcher, maybe he'll be that kind of an all-star caliber catcher. You don't know, but they're highly touted young players. And it's a lot of fun to watch them play against major league competition with the big league players in big league games. You know what they can do in the minor leagues. You've seen their credentials. You've heard a lot about them. But it's fun to get a chance to see him play at the big league level. It's, to me, one of the most fun parts of spring training.
You mentioned Gallo the other day in Scottsdale against the Giants. I mean, he was so impressive every at bat. It wasn't just the one, you know, light tower home run. I mean, every at bat was really impressive.
Yeah.
Guest strikes out, 2 away in the 7th inning. Now today, though, there's so much more noise with social media. Just the blogging, the internet has created this much more democratic sort of communication model, and I know it creates these atmospheres where a lot of people are champing at the bit. They're like, hey, Joey Gallo, is he going to make the team? Is he going to break camp with his club? And that's not likely.
No, it's not likely, and it's exciting for the fans. And, you know, the fans, an average fan will say, well, here's a guy who hit 40 home runs 2 years ago in the minor leagues. The Rangers are looking for ways to score more runs. Give the kid a chance. And, you know, on face value, it might make a little sense, but there's so much more that goes into it. He's a young player that's still learning how to play third base. We've got a third baseman right now who's a pretty good third baseman in Adrian Beltre. And he still has to learn the nuances of the game. He played last year in Double-A. Didn't have quite the same success at the Double-A level that he had in A-ball. Has to work on making a little bit better contact, maybe a 2-strike approach, continue to develop defensively. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just how many home runs has he hit in the minor leagues. And, you know, you can tell he's got a great head on his shoulder by the way he answers those various those same questions. He knows that. And he's not pushing for it. He just wants to become as good a player as he can become.
He does a nice job fighting off the sun and ending the inning with that pop-up right there. Coulter retired. Leadoff double stranded by the Brewers. And it's time to stretch here at Surprise Stadium. Rangers.
We've been thinking.
Four-run game as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and some changes for Milwaukee defensively. Center fielder Peterson moves into center, and a new right fielder, Michael Rattery. A new second baseman, Donnie Murphy. And a new third baseman. I'm not so sure I could tell you who that is.
I think it's Brandon Macias.
He's a little fella on the left of your screen.
Yeah. I'm going to call him Brandon Macias till I learn otherwise.
I'm with you. And also a new pitcher in the game. Jorge Lopez, a right-hander. And he buries one for a ball. 1-1 the count. Hits haven't come easily for Alberto this spring and his few opportunities. He was hitting the tricep the other day and had to take a couple of days out of action and back for the first time today. And he'll tap this one slowly toward third. Tough play, and it ends up an infield hit. Goes back to the way you evaluate during spring training. You're talking about your days as a general manager, and I mean, nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, you put it in play, you get yourself to first base, but that's
I think the
not
biggest
the line drive to center field.
No, the biggest thing with a player like Alberto is you just want to give him the experience of what it's like to play in the big leagues. He's known as a very good defensive player that I think he's hit 270 or 280 in the minor leagues. He's always been one of the younger players in all the leagues that he's played in. And so he projects as a big league player, and getting him as many opportunities to play defense and get his at-bats in spring training with the big league players just makes him a little more comfortable when he finally gets his chance to be there. He's not a guy necessarily competing for an opportunity coming out of this spring training, but down the road he will be.
Tapper foul. The count 1-1. And Scherholz came in to play right field an inning and a half ago. His first at bat of the day.
No, Scherholz is a guy competing for an opportunity to make the ball club as an outfielder, and you go back just a couple of years, he had 21 home runs for the Cubs, knocked in over 60 runs, hit 30 doubles. And he's got a little bit of a track record as a big league player. You got some younger guys trying to make a name for themselves and make the ball club, and you got a veteran guy like Scherholz, veteran guy like Ryan Ludwig, who have been there and done that, competing with the young guys. So there's a wide variety of ages, abilities, and experience competing for that job in left field.
It's hard to tell how it's all going to play out. We still do have plenty of time left in this spring, but it does make some sense that you might keep one of the more veteran tested guys like a Scherholz or a Ryan Ludwig, and one of those younger players that you're hopeful will develop into more of that everyday kind of presence out there, and then you just have yourself that little insurance policy, I guess, if things don't go perfectly.
Yeah, one of the things that complicates the numbers game in the outfield a little bit is the fact that Smolinski and Rua.
A tough pop up out into short left field, and that one drops in.
Scherholz, Ludwig, they're all capable. They all deserve the opportunity, but none of them really are true center fielders. So with Martin, your regular center fielder, you look at someone else that's going to have to play some center field when Martin doesn't play, if he gets nicked up a little bit. And so, you know, that part of it comes into play too. You're competing maybe for a spot to play left field on a regular basis or in a platoon situation, but you might not be one of the guys competing for the guy that's the second guy to play center field. Delano DeShields was a Rule 5 draft pick. He's got great speed. He's competing for that. Anton Richardson plays some center field. So there's different jobs and different abilities and different requirements for the openings that do exist.
Well, too bad this big fella doesn't play center field. Joey Gallo. And this spring, when he's come to bat, it's the type of thing where people walking the concourse, they'll stop and pay attention for that extra moment. You want to see what he can do, as he has ridiculous power. And he just smashed one to deep right field, and that one off the base of the fence. Got a good jump out of the box and has an easy stand-up double. Chases home Andrews. Another 2 runs. Pardon me, 1 run on the play. Makes it a 10-5 game.
Well, the other thing he does pretty well for a big guy is he runs pretty well. He got around first base in a hurry going for that double. And he's got some pretty good speed for a big, tall, 6'5", 230-pound guy. And he gets the bat through the strike zone in a hurry, too. He's been working on maybe shortening up his stroke a little bit, and it does look a little bit shorter right now than the last time we saw him, which obviously wasn't during the minor league season. I think one of the nice things you hear when you hear people talk about Joey Gallo is how he spends his winters working with Jason Giambi. And I don't think you could have, as Joey Gallo, a better guy to work with than Jason Giambi. There's a guy that had power. He drove in runs, but he also had a great eye at the plate. He was an on-base percentage guy because of his walks and because of his batting average. So to me, if Joey Gallo was going to try to emulate a certain big league hitter, right at the top of the list would be Jason Giambi. And Jason also has the reputation of being a very good teammate and a guy that enjoys working with young players and has the ability to impart his wisdom on them. Well, that to me is a great thing for Joey to do in the offseason, is spend time with Jason.
Infield in about halfway now is Ryan Rua, one of those candidates for that left field spot at the plate. 25-year-old right-handed hitter. And watches one just off the plate. It's 2-1. Not a good year last year offensively in the upper levels of the system. Spend that final month of the year with a big club, get a taste of the big leagues, but it's just as difficult to evaluate in September sometimes as it is in spring training.
Well, the mentality of a player is so different. You get called up in August or September, and obviously you're thrilled and you're nervous to be in the big leagues, but there's nothing on the line for the team. You can kind of sneak up on people. You feel like you don't have anything to lose. It's just an opportunity to play. Obviously, there's pressure because you want to do well, and it's your first time in the big leagues, but it's not quite the same pressure that you have after performing well in September and then coming to spring training with a chance to make the team amidst really good competition for that one position out there. That's pressure, and that's what these young guys are going through right now. It's a little bit different feeling than finishing the season in the big leagues. On the other hand, most of the teams we were playing in September were trying to win a pennant position. Postseason play, they were pitching their best pitchers, so the competition was the highest level you could face.
Oh, this one sharply to the left side of the infield, and that one gets through. Gallo turned hard around third. He scores easily. 2 runs in on the play. It's a 12-5 Rangers. You talked about it earlier that Gallo got out of the box quickly. He stole a base the other day off a left-handed pitcher in Scottsdale.
Did he?
And even on that play right there, boy, he got around from second base in a hurry. And that one scored an error off Macias at third base. And Rua only getting credit for 1 RBI on the play. Big Kyle Blanks, another name you could throw out there in the mix in left field. One-time Padre pounds that one in the dirt. High chopper left side, picked up by the third baseman Macias. It's time to throw a good one, and they get their first out of the inning. Rua gets to second base, and here comes Smolinski. Played the entire game.
Well, that's one thing. You'll never have a young player complain about playing too much in spring training. You might have a regular say, "Why do I have to play 9 innings in the middle of March?" But you'll never have a young player say that. Give me as many at bats as you can get me.
High chopper, and that one threw into left field. Into third base, Rua. He'll stop there on the single by Smolinski. He's 3 for 4 today.
Well, we talk about the high sky and the wind and the sun and the difficulty for outfielders. The other thing a pitcher faces pitching in Arizona is by the time the game gets 2 hours old in this sun, the dirt is baked. And so the ball takes a big hop when it hits near the home plate area. The grass, even though they grow it as long as they can and still be big league caliber grass, gets hard. The turf gets hard, and the ball really gets through the infield quickly too. So the elements create a situation for a pitcher that, unless he strikes someone out, if they put the ball in play, they got a better chance of getting a hit here than most other times.
Sometimes it's like playing in the parking lot in these late innings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
So the pitchers are going out there saying, okay, my pitching coach is preaching pitch to contact. Throw a good sinker, get a ground ball. Don't throw a lot of pitches. Make them hit it. And then you watch ground balls go through the infield, pop-ups fall in front of the outfielders, and fly balls get misjudged for extra base hits. And you say, I'm not so sure this pitching to contact's working that great for me. I'm going to go for the punch-out next time.
Well, Chris Jimenez, big right-handed hitter, 6'2", 225 pounds. Saw him fly out deep to right field in the 6th inning. And he watches ball one. One of those guys, Jimenez, has just always been right on the cusp, whether it be with the Indians or the Mariners, the Rays. Just looking for that one break to really break through and be more of an everyday guy. Originally a 34th round pick by Colorado back in 2001. So he has battled his way through a lot of adversity, I guess, over the years. He drafted in beyond the 30th round. The odds become longer, but has gotten a cup of coffee with a handful of teams over the years. And hits this one sharply to third. Nice diving stop by Macias to second. One on to first for the double play. 5-4-3 puts an end to the Rangers rally, but not before they played 3 more runs and take us to the 8th inning. Rangers with a wide lead in this one. Hey, Dr. Pepper and the Texas Rangers are teaming up again for early season savings at Globe Life Park. Enter Dr. Pepper as the coupon code at texasrangers.com/specials, or just bring a Dr. Pepper can to the ballpark for savings of at least 25% for most Sunday through Thursday home games. Offer good April through July at Globe Life Park. Well, to the 8th inning we go, and tall left-hander Will Lamb out of the minor league camp joins the game. 6'6", 175 pounds, and last year made his way to Frisco and put up some decent numbers there.
Yeah, this is another thing that happens in spring training. Generally, for every game, a manager and a pitching coach will have several guys out in the bullpen that they labeled JIC, just in case, depending on what happens in the game and if you need extra pitchers. And Will might have been one of those guys today, because if Ross Ohlendorf pitched his 4 innings along with Chi-Chi's 4 innings, he might not have gotten the opportunity. But because Ross had to come out of the game with a groin strain after 2 innings, it opens up another inning. And so Will Lamb is out in the bullpen, going to get a chance to pitch an inning today. So good opportunity for him coming up from the minor league camp. Big thrill, pitch in front of a nice crowd on a sunny afternoon in a big league ball game. Show his big league manager what he can do.
Well, a long lefty up there. I mentioned last year 4-2 with a 1.09 earned run average at Frisco. Pretty good numbers, and fires in a fastball a little bit too far in for ball 1. Walk numbers were a little high last year. 26 walks in 33 innings at Frisco. We were talking earlier, Tom, some of the spring training experiences for you as a general manager when you're evaluating guys, sometimes surprised by fellas. How many times were you faced with that situation where a guy, I mean, really did everything he could, and it almost felt criminal not to break camp?
I think it happens in every camp, every year, with every team. There's someone that's played well enough to make the team that doesn't get the opportunity, and sometimes there's a lot of reasons why. Double for Nevin Ashley has come in to catch for the Brewers. You know, a lot of times it's a young player. I mentioned Ruben Sierra. I remember the year that Ruben had a great spring, but we had made up our mind that he was not going to make the team coming out of spring training. Felt like he needed to go to AAA to get some at-bats under his belt, and he did that, and before you know it, he was back in the big leagues. But if you'd watched him and you didn't know anything about the team, you were just an independent evaluator, you would have picked him as one of the best guys on the team, and he would have made the team out of spring training. And I think that happens every year. Sometimes there's just not room.
Here's Rattery. His first at bat of the day. He takes it high for ball 1.
You know, this year you're looking at possibilities. You know, it might be with young players. It might be with Alfaro. It might be with Gallo, 2 of the best young prospects in the Rangers farm system. Both of those guys are having great springs. Gallo with another rope today for double. Alfaro's gotten the job done. He's got a great arm behind the plate. And so both of those guys could have the kind of springs that you'd say, man, what's a guy have to do to make a team? But if you look deeper into it, you almost answer your own question. Well, Alfaro needs to continue his development defensively behind the plate. Learn how to call a game, block the ball, all the things that go into being a big league catcher. And same with Gallo. Joey needs to continue to develop as a third baseman, the kind of things that normally happen in the minor leagues with young players. That's why you have an apprenticeship in the minor leagues. Very talented players still need a certain amount of time to develop their skills in the minor leagues, and you want to see them do it in the minor leagues. You hope the Rangers are a contender this year, and if they are, it's not the time in April and May to develop younger players at the big league level. That's for the minor league, so that when they're called up sometime during the season, maybe, or next year, they don't need that development. They're ready to step right in and play.
What about the fear of, I don't know if it's overexposing a guy early, right? But that you could somehow or another hurt him psychologically?
Yeah, I think teams worry about that, and there's something to that. No one knows the makeup of the players better than the minor league personnel who drafted and signed and developed those players. And I think the big league staff looks to the minor league people, the scouts, the people that have made those decisions, and gets their input. Then they observe that for themselves while the kids are in spring training. And I think there is some risk with certain players that you bring them to the big leagues before they're ready, and it's a demoralizing thing, because deep down inside, I think for the most part, the player knows it. He knows it if he's not quite ready defensively, and he goes out defensively into the field, and instead of looking forward to the opportunity, he's almost saying to himself, boy, I hope the ball doesn't get hit to me. And you play the second game of the season, and you've got a one-run lead. The closer's in the game. There's a man on third base and 2 outs. You're playing some defensive position. There's a hard chance. You got to make the play for the game to be over, and you're not quite ready. You don't make the play. A team loses, and you go home, and that's tough thoughts to go through a young player's mind. So I think it's fairest to the organization. It's fairest to the player that when he gets to the big leagues, you're confident, the player's confident that he's ready to perform, ready to compete, and ready to get the job done.
High pop up on the infield. Handled cleanly for out number 1. Yeah, Alberto, wipe that brow. Oof. Been an adventure all day. Well, famously, right, that was a Mickey Mantle story, wasn't it? He started like 1 for 21 and was darn near in tears and wanted to quit, and his old man told him,
no, you can't quit. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of times that happens too. It looks like the kid's overmatched, but the team sticks with him, and then he puts it together, and his natural talent shines through. There's not a blueprint. There's no set way of doing it. It's almost an individual thing, and every player and every situation is different. You have to use your instincts, your best judgment, what the needs of the ball club are, and make the best decision you can. It's not an exact science. Sometimes there's an educated guessing that goes into it too. I think for the most part, though, if you feel like you've got a great young talent with great makeup, you're eventually going to reap the benefits of the talent that player has, and so is he. I mean, you look at a kid like Joey Gallo, and I don't know him personally. I just know what I hear about him and what people whose opinion I respect say about him, and they love his makeup, they love his work ethic, they love everything about the kid. But you have to remember, he's only 20 years old, and he's only played about 200 at bats in AA baseball, so it's not the end of the world if there's a little bit more development that goes into his progress before he gets to the big leagues.
Well, that the important thing too is that the young man might understand that as well. And in fact, the other day when he was talking to the media after his game at Scottsdale, you can tell he gets it. He knows. I got a little more time. I'll get there.
And all those things we're just talking about, those hold true if the third base job is open and you don't have a third baseman. All that stuff is true. You don't want to rush him. Compound that with the fact we've had Adrian Beltre playing third base. Where's he going to play anyway?
Right.
There's nowhere for him to play right now. Well, put him out in left field. Well, he's trying to learn how to play third base. You can't put a kid out in left field to start a big league season. Well, play him at first base. Well, we got Prince Fielder and Mitch Moreland at first base. There's nowhere for him to play right now. There will be eventually.
Well, you occasionally see that, though, where a team tries to force the odd-sized peg into the wrong-sized hole.
Well, it happened to us one year. We had Steve Buechele was playing third base and doing a great job. We needed a bat. Dean Palmer had hit 30 home runs in AAA ball. He was a third baseman, and we said, well, let's bring him to the big leagues. We'll put him in left field. He's a good athlete, no problem in left field. And so we did. And Dino struggled out in left field, and it became painfully obvious that you just can't take a good athlete and put him in left field and make the assumption that he's going to be a terrific left fielder. Sometimes it happens. Alex Gordon went from third base to left field and is a Gold Glove left fielder, but it doesn't always happen that way. And so for Dino, it really wasn't fair to get his first big league shot and say, you're a pretty good third baseman, and that's where you're comfortable, but good luck. We're going to put you out in left field in a big league game for the first time, and it didn't work out very well that way.
Some guys can make those adjustments easily, and some guys can't.
8th inning here. Ashley at second base for the Brewers. And that one just missed to Shane Peterson. 2-2 the count. 2 away.
You know, then to kind of extend the conversation, and then you get last year Jurickson Profar's the second baseman. He gets hurt right off the bat. He can't play. Rougned Odor is scheduled to get to Double-A at a very young age. Hope that he's ready to play Double-A baseball. And all of a sudden he's the regular second baseman. And what goes into that decision? Well, everybody says there's a young player who's got great makeup. He'll make good contact. He knows how to play the position. We're going to give him a chance. And it turned out great because they knew his makeup and they knew exactly whether or not he was ready to do that. It turned out that he was.
Well, after the leadoff double, 3 quick outs, and we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Rangers by 7. Seven-run game. Yeah, the difference in this thing, that 7-run first inning. Who'd have thought? Hard to believe as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It was a bizarre first inning with the Rangers' first 7 batters all reached, all scored. And frankly, it's been a little exchange back and forth since then, but no real drama in this one today, as we do have a new pitcher in the game for the Brewers. Austin Ross, the right-hander, takes over.
Well, for the Rangers have 8 new players in the game. Jake Smolinski has so far played the whole game.
You can't get Smolinski out of this game now. No, I mean,
I don't think he's asking to come out, that's for sure.
He hopes it goes extra somehow. Elliott Johnson had a single in the 6th inning, and then was caught stealing second base to end the frame. And it's now 1-1. Switch hitter. That's from the left side against the right-hand throwing Austin Ross. Johnson, a guy who's been around a little bit, most recently with the Cleveland Indians last year. Prior to that, in 2013, split time with the Royals and the Braves, and then was a Tampa Bay Ray for a handful of years leading in to 2013. 1-2 the count. He was signed as a free agent, though, in late February. Good potential utility man as he swings and misses and strikes out to start the bottom of the 8th inning.
Good hard breaking ball right there from Austin Ross. Strike out a lot of left-hand hitters.
Ross last year got as high as AA Huntsville with Brewers. He's been used as a starter primarily in the minor leagues. .62, just a little bit over 200 pounds. That's why Richardson lines it over first. That's a base hit down to the right field corner. No pedal for 2 and drop anchor there.
Well, Richardson kind of fought off the pitch before that down the left side and then got a similar pitch and ripped it down the right field line. He was ready for that one. Well, looked like it's on the inside half of the plate. Nice short quick swing. Comes into the game for Leonis Martin and wraps out a double.
It's been a very good day for the bats today. 12 runs, 12 hits.
One thing for the Brewer pitchers, Taylor Youngman struggled in the first inning. He walked 4 batters, then walked anybody since then. And touched up for 5 more runs, but no walks.
That first inning was an ugly one. Hanser. Open stance at that right side and chops one to short. 1 or 2 away. Now Sherholtz, who singled in the 7th inning. Tomorrow, Rangers and Angels. They'll see Jared Weaver tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, back here for the Dodgers. Dodgers expected to start left-hander Hyunjin Ryu. And that game will be televised right here on TXA 21. A little soft thread of first and a nice play by Ramirez to take away what looked like a potential single for Nate Sherholtz. No runs, a double, a man left. We go to the 9th inning. Rangers 3 outs away, leading 12-5. 7-run lead for the Rangers. Top of the 9th inning here in the Valley of the Sun. I dare say, Tom, not a safe situation, but a guy who might project as a closer, you know, a few years down the road, perhaps. 21-year-old right-hander Keone Kela.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Dave. He's a kid. We're talking about the opportunity to see young players play in a big league game that you've never seen before, but you've heard a lot about, read a lot about, and we've heard nothing but great things about Kela. Kid with a fastball in the upper 90s that's had success in the minor leagues that, you know, I think at some point in time might project as a closer. A lot of things have to happen in between. But for us, for the fans that are watching the ball game, you get a chance to see some performance put with a name and everything you've heard about him. Get a chance to look at it. He pops that first fastball in at 95 miles an hour. That's a fun part of spring training, seeing kids like this play.
A couple years ago, was apparently hitting triple digits on the gun on occasion.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of the minor league managers, coaches, pitching coaches, scouting directors, farm directors that are watching either on TV or here at the ballpark that are proud of the young players and what they're doing when they get their opportunities in the big leagues, rooting for them, knowing that the future is with young players. Rangers over the years, last few years, have really worked hard to upgrade the caliber of the talent in the minor leagues, create depth in the minor league system, and they've done that. And it's going to take a little while for it to move up from the lower levels of the minor leagues through AA and AAA in the big leagues, but the talent is being replenished, and here's a good example of it right here.
Murphy takes one a little bit low. 96 miles per hour that time with the fastball.
You know, you just look at first glance, and a guy that comes to mind is Kelvin Herrera for Kansas City, a guy that throws straight over the top, 96, 98 miles an hour with a, I think he throws a splitter or a changeup. Not that this is the exact same kind of guy, but you know, you're talking a guy with the same kind of arm. There's a pretty good slider. They say he's working on a changeup. You know, who knows? When you try to project young players, you look for players that they're somewhat similar to in what they've done at the big leagues, and you say, well, if it all falls into place, maybe right off the bat in the big leagues, you got a 7th inning guy that can come in and strike out a batter when you need it, and maybe grow into, as you said, Dave, a closer. So you can't have enough of them, and the more you have, the better chance you've got of it coming true. There's no guarantees with young players, but you just watch that first at bat, and you certainly like the talent that you see with this kid. It looked like an off-speed pitch. It looked like a fastball for some guys, 89 miles an hour, but for him, it's 8 or 9 miles an hour less than his fastball.
1-0 on Macias. And there's a swing and a miss. Even the count at 1-1. You know, you've mentioned Kansas City a few times, and you never have too many closers. I mean, there's a team where you could argue they have several.
Yeah, 3 of them.
Yeah,
one in the 7th, one in the 8th, and one in the 9th.
Yeah, that's tough stuff. 1-1. That fastball lined into right field for a base hit.
He ended up hitting that fastball into right field. The changeup before that at 89 miles an hour was a great pitch. It tailed in, sunk down, and then he got a fastball out over the plate. He put a pretty nice swing on it, lined it into right field. Good job of hitting.
So a man aboard for the Brewers. Keller, boy, pops a mid at 95 with a fastball for strike one. That's the next piece, right? Is, you know, again, going back to something we were talking about earlier, sometimes you want to see, you know what kind of arm Keller has.
Sure.
The velocity is self-evident, but okay, now how does he do with a runner on? Even though it is 9th inning in a game that's not exactly within reach at the moment. Back-to-back fastballs, and he jumps ahead here 0-2.
Yeah, I was listening to Jeff Bannister answer the questions this morning, and sports writers ask questions kind of along the way that you just made that comment about Kayla, and he said, yeah, when we're evaluating, it's all of the above. All the things you just mentioned, those are all of the things we're looking for. And there's, man on first base. Wasn't sure whether the guy was being held on first base, and it ended up being a balk. Learning experience right there at the big league level. But, they said about the outfielders, what are you looking for? Defense, arm, running speed, power, hit for average? And the answer was, yeah, you're right. I'm looking for all of those things. That's going into my decision. And there was a case where you've got a young pitcher with first baseman playing behind the runner with a big lead, and he had either lost track of that. You can't make a move to first base unless you throw it. So that resulted in a balk. But no damage done.
Handles the PFP pays off here. 3-1 put out. Blanks helping him out over the right side of the infield. So Macias now at third base, but 2 away. And Guess coming to the plate.
It's a good athleticism too. Being able to get over, he's in great shape, it looks like, getting over there to cover first base quickly.
No, put the balk right behind him and focused on the next play and handled it well. And this is a little up and out to Ben Guess. Ball 1. Well, Ross Ohlendorf looked pretty good again today, but left the game early. There's some discomfort in his groin. And strike in there to Guess. And then offensively today, Mitch Moreland was very good. Jake Smolinski had 3 hits and made a really nice play out in left field. Chichi Gonzalez, 4 good innings out of the bullpen. Now a chance to look at Kella, whose fastball is pretty impressive, but the off-speed stuff has been equally as good.
Yeah, I'm obviously looking at him for the first time, and I read that he's developing a changeup, and a couple of those changeups he's thrown look more than a developing changeup. They look like changeups that are on the way to arriving. Been a good pitch for him a couple of times.
Check swing, bouncer to first. Blanks will take it himself. And that'll do it. The Rangers with a 12-5 win today over the Milwaukee Brewers, and Yoni Kella with the scoreless 9th inning to get it done. Overall, nice day today for the Rangers. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and wrap this one up in a moment.